Welcome to Anime Out of Context, a comedy review show where a man completely immersed in anime culture torments his co-host, who is only allowed to watch the shows featured here. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so at patreon.com/animeoutofcontext. Alongside over 100 hours of exclusive bonus material, all episodes uploaded to Patreon are completely ad-free, even to non-patrons. Thank you for listening, and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Anime Out of Context, the show where I attempt to explain the sometimes weird, sometimes wonderful, but always hilarious world of anime.
And Shaun will always be my little Fazbear.
I'm Shaun Rollins.
I'm Remington Chase.
Does that mean that you're Nope, can't make that joke. Do not make that joke, Shaun. No, not kosher. So Rem, happy Pride!
Happy Pride, Shaun. Baby, it's Egg Fest. We're bringing out the yams. It's Yam Fest. We're bringing out some corpse dust, right? We're bringing out all the great hits.
All the great hits. There's gonna be some big holes abound.
Oh yeah, of course.
Take that as you will. But yeah, Rem, it's one of our favorite times of the year, Pride Month. Because as we are, as one has described us, painfully straight sometimes, it is up to us as the worst demographic in podcasting to try and make up for it a bit by showing off some of the media in the LGBTQ plus community. And talk about whether or not we think it's good or bad and such. And I will say, we've had some rough times with Pride in some years. We'll usually get at least one good, positive review out of you. But a good chunk of the time, a lot of the shows that get recommended to us and I show them to you, you are less than pleased. And, which doesn't do great when I show you something that I know for a fact is bad from the get-go. It doesn't look great on us.
You're trying to make me look like I'm not an ally by hating all these shows with queer characters or themes. So here's the thing. The reason why I hate them is because sometimes I'm an ally and other times just because I appreciate good storytelling, and often both. And when you show me things with bad representation and or god-awful characters and stories, what am I to do? So yeah, I'm hoping that...
Not insult the people who recommended them. Last year was 100% recommendations.
And sometimes I think a lot of the recommendations are questionable. So look, I'm hoping that this year it can be a bit more festive, a bit more upbeat.
Well, Rem, I'm gonna do my best, because we are gonna have to cover something that's awful, because that's the name of the game. But I won't tell you when we're gonna do it. But I will say that I do want to cover something that is quite beloved for the first episode.
All right, so that way, if I hate it and it's all my fault, that way we start things off real sour. That way we alienate the community right out of the gate.
Well, hey, man, you're going to alienate people further because this is probably ever since Pride Month last year, because this aired after Pride, funnily enough, the most requested Pride-centric episode outside of a few others.
Oh, okay, wow, all right. Fingers crossed I like this one.
Yes, yeah, because it aired from July to September of 2024. So literally right as Pride Month ended, this anime came out. So, I think, the best way I can do it, and, I got so many recommendations for this one, quite literally, the second Pride Month ended and this show started airing, people were like, hey, they didn't even finish the show. They was like, hey, this is, next year, this is Pride Month. This is Pride Month next year.
All right.
You're gonna do this one, and we think he's gonna love it. And I'm like, you know what?
The people have said that before.
Yeah, that I didn't say that to them.
The people do not have an amazing hit rate. Don't get me wrong. There's a higher hit rate that when people say I'm gonna like it, that I do. But it's still not an amazing hit rate.
Mm-hmm. But hey, I have pretty good faith in this one. I enjoyed this show. I had a fun time with it. I'm not going to say it's a perfect show because, that's not my place. But I think that if any show that I'm going to show you has a good chance of getting a positive reaction for you, I think me and the Weebs agree that it's probably going to be this one. Though I will say, this year, I did not get as many requests for good queer shows. I got a lot of requests for queer shows that would hurt you by a lot of our queer audience members, now that I'm thinking about it.
I don't know. It sounds like you're gaslighting the community. It sounds like you're like, hey no, guys, you wanted this. You asked for this. As the voice of the people, they didn't.
Look, man, Sometimes when I'm streaming, people will come in and drop recommendations and like, hey, for next Pride Month, you should show them this. And I'm like, I think that's a hate crime.
Those are bots.
But no, Rem, no, we're going to start with one that was heavily requested, heavily recommended, and I think is probably a good chance of starting off Pride Month, right? The anime we're going to be covering today is 2024's Senpai wa Otokonoko.
All right, I'm worried about the word senpai there.
Why are you worried about the word senpai?
Because teacher fucking is questionable.
Okay. Remington, are you sure you're not confusing the word senpai with sensei?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, there you go. Senpai is your senior. You're like, in the context of a school, you're, a student that's like a year or two older than you.
All right, so now it depends on the differential, but it comes back into the realm of being possibly okay.
Yeah, like if you, me, and Dylan were were like in a Japanese business setting or a Japanese high school setting, you and me would be like Dylan's senpai.
I can't believe you forgot that I'm actually older than you, jackass.
Oh, you would love that, wouldn't you? You would love for him to call you senpai. They were roommates.
When in actuality, this Pride they were just roommates. But yes, Senpai wa Otokonoko. Bleh, it's a bit of a mouthful. Otokonoko, right? Are you familiar with what an Otokonoko is?
I mean, obviously I am, but maybe let everybody else know.
Okay. Well, it's a term that generally stems from like anime-ish and weeby culture, otherwise known as Japanese culture. But are you familiar with the term okama?
No.
Okay, well, considering we covered an anime where there was a heavily featured one, okay. It's essentially, we're talking about gender here, Rem. So an okama is like how you would refer to a man with the soul of a woman, essentially.
Oh, okay. Sure.
How it's phrased in a lot of like Eastern cultures and such, because gender identity in places like Japan is a bit different than gender identity in the West, right? We interpret things differently, and we refer to people differently, and they refer to themselves as different ways, and it's just like, y'all, different cultures have different ways of referring to things. So the easiest way to westernize it would be like, these are people who were born as male but prefer to but are closest to being transgender woman, but maybe not fully crossing that threshold, right?
Yeah.
So, because hey, guess what, gang? Gender is a spectrum, and it's fluid. And it's
to my
weird.
understanding, like okama, it sort of covers the range from like femboys to trans girls.
Yes, 100%. And Otokonoko is the same kind of vibe, right? But specifically, it's for a young fella who, very similar to Okama, prefers to act effeminate, prefers effeminate things, and likes to dress as a girl more often than not, And that is kind of that's kind of the starting point of this. Because, Remington, this is kind of I would call this a little bit... So the theme that they used for this is a love polygon, which I have never heard the term before, but I think it makes sense for this. It's about our main three characters, Saki, Aoi, Ryuji Taiga, and Makoto Hanuka. And Makoto is, the titular Otokonoko. And I'm fucking up the emphasis on that, but that's because my English-speaking tongue, it's a bit of a tongue twister to say it fast.
Otokonoko.
And, see, you did that just to make me look bad.
I did. That is precisely the reason. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Now I'm gonna hold you to that, and in part 2, you're gonna have to say that multiple times. And because it's a word I'm familiar with, but as you could probably tell, it's not one that I've spent a lot of time speaking aloud. But yeah, no, Makoto dresses as a girl and prefers to be presented as such throughout most of their life. And the story starts fairly interesting because our main girl, Saki, she is crushing hard on Makoto. Super, super hard. And the story opens with her confessing her love for Makoto, who she thinks is a full girl, full woman. So Saki is our little bisexual gremlin of this show.
Perfect.
Much like Dylan is in our lives.
Yeah.
And, she does this confession, and of course Makoto reveals the truth about it. And, expecting her to be weirded out, freaked out, disgusted. But as I have just described, Saki is 100% a little bisexual freak and was like, oh my god, that's even better. Because it's like, wait, I get to see you as both a guy and a girl? This is the best day of my life. This is the best day of my life. And it's like, okay, you know what? That's the kind of positive we need. But ultimately, Makoto still gently turns her down simply due to the fact that they've never had a crush and they don't know if they're capable of being in love with someone. Kind of a bloom into you type of situation, if you recall that anime.
Yeah.
Essentially, Saki is like, okay, all right, well, let's see if I can make you fall in love with me. You know, that old chestnut.
Sure.
But there's just a little bit of a caveat there. Makoto's best friend, Ryuji, is kind of protective of Makoto for obvious reasons, because ever since Makoto started presenting as female, there have been a lot of guys trying to get with her, essentially.
Yeah.
And he's very much guard doggy best friend about it. And let's be honest, it's pretty evident to tell it's probably because he's developing feelings for him. You know, being a teenager in such a interesting situation, kind of tricky. So I think that's probably where the love polygon comes into play.
Yeah.
So, and there's also lots of themes of Makoto, you know, trying to love themselves. Because, as you might expect, in a story like this, Makoto has received not the most supportive responses from people around them, and that's where the drama kind of tag comes in. So, ideally, this Pride Month, we're starting with a look into gender, what it means to people, and whether or not this show is a good representation of a romance with, let's just say, different genders.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
And hopefully I did the best job I could, because, like, genuinely, I want you to like this show, because people are going to yell at me if you don't. And I'm doing my damnedest here. And of course, as we are trying to be the best allies that we can, it's a little hard for us to talk about this from our perspective, because obviously we're not, like, we're allies. That's where we got to stand. And, you know, it's up to us to help raise the voices of the queer community, especially in these troubling times. So hopefully this anime is a great representation and makes you very happy for the start of this Pride Month, so that when I do show you the anime that is objectively awful and horrible and cringy, that you don't hate me as much.
I hate that there's an objectively horrendous one coming down the pipeline.
Hey, Rem.
I hate that there's just like a time bomb, but it's like, ooh,
Rem, hey, look, you know, Hitchcock always said that if you really want to build tension, you should tell somebody there's a bomb under the table. And the bomb I've got for you, Rem, is really bad gay anime. Of which there is an astounding amount. Because, like, dog, like you say all the time, even though I don't always agree with you, people didn't really know how to tell stories until a certain time. And that goes especially true for queer media, because, my God, a lot of it is really bad fetish stuff. And I mean really bad. Lest we forget Junjo Romantica.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So, I think without further ado, let's go straight into this Pride Month with the first 5 episodes of Senpai wa Otokonoko. And we are back after watching the first 5 episodes of Senpai wa Otokonoko. And Remington, have we started off Pride Month excellently? Did all of the fervent recommendations pull through? Or are you about to set us on a bad precedent where you blame me again, even though it's not my fault?
Well, first of all, no matter how I feel about this anime or the anime to come for this month, I do think that it's always at least a little bit your fault. You choose the anime.
Again.
I just need to keep on, and even if it's recommendations, you choose which recommendations end up to me.
And I chose one that I thought would be a pretty solid fit. I thought this would be a great way to start Pride Month, because, you know, it's a surprisingly grounded show as far as things are considered. But, you know, if you want me to just choose the bad ones, then I can do that too, my guy.
Hey, I said irrespective of however I end up feeling about this one, I was just making a note that you can't use that defense. So, onto the actual anime. One thing I will note, for the main character, Makoto, I'm gonna be primarily using he, him pronouns. They seem pretty gender fluid, though, I'll be honest. It seems like you could use any pronouns, and Makoto would be pretty fine with it. It doesn't seem...
It has to do with, like, the Eastern gender, like, associations, essentially. Like, I don't think you'd be incorrect to use basically any pronoun with them, so...
Yeah, and I think Makoto, like, their gender identity, it's primarily fueled through euphoria than dysphoria.
Yes.
Right? By which I mean, it's not really that presenting themselves as a boy feels like unnatural and terribly wrong to them. They just like presenting as a woman a bit more.
Yeah.
Right? That just makes them feel a little bit better. They don't feel bad, from what I've seen, presenting as a guy.
Well, I mean, unless certain people are, disparaging.
Look, if people are disparaging assholes, that's going to feel bad regardless of gender expression.
That is true. I mean, look at our podcast, for example.
So yeah, just a few notes on that. I'm totally okay if there's rational disagreement about that, but that's what I'm going to do for this little review.
Yep.
So we open up, right, and we meet Makoto, our main character, and we meet Aoi, who is she is the bisexual gremlin, which is a very apt description. That is spot on.
Yeah. Like I was like I saw that first scene and was like, oh, it's like Dylan if he was more expressive.
It's largely just bisexual Umaru-chan, but it's just that gremlin energy. It's just how that goes, right? So, Aoi confesses, and Makoto reveals themselves. They're like, hey, I'm actually born a guy, and she's like, that's great, even better.
Yep.
And so we see their sort of bond develop. Makoto's like, hey, there's a bit of a social stigma around me. I don't know if it's a great idea. And she's like, yeah, she doesn't care about it, but she doesn't want to put him in a difficult position, right?
Which is
a lot of this anime is going to boil down to people not adequately communicating and doing things that they think is the other person wants, but actually because they're not communicating, having no idea what the other person wants.
Teenagers.
So she gives Makoto a whale handkerchief, right? And then we meet our third main character, Ryuji. He confronts Aoi and is like, hey, motherfucker. He's a childhood friend of Makoto and very protective. He's just like, plenty people like make fun of Makoto, or they go and they like ask him out as a dare, all that type of shit. It's not cool. If that's what you're gonna do, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna end your fucking life. And Makoto's like, hey, no, it's chill. It's fine.
I mean, you kind of gotta have a homie that's at least willing to do a little murder for you.
Yeah. Aoi realizes that Ryuji is also into Makoto, but Ryuji's like, oh fuck, but I'm straight. What the hell? Oh, what's going on? And so that's like his struggle. And Aoi and Ryuji kind of bond-ish over it. We get some backstory, and that's primarily episode 1. I will say, episode 1, we do create a possibly problematic dynamic where the two possible love interests, one is a little too paternalistic, right? Of just limiting Makoto's freedom and being like, I know what's best for Makoto, and that's Ryuji. The other one, a little bit fetishistic. They do, like, Aoi goes from being like, hey, Makoto, I think I love you, to then when Makoto reveals that he was born a boy, then she gets nosebleeds and gets, she gets hornier, is what happens. She gets hornier. And so, I don't even think that either of these things are necessarily terrible. I don't think that they're even presented as character flaws. But I think they're little notable things just that exist. And it's not, neither one is too terrible. Neither one is like, oh, how dare they? They're just minor things that I thought were worth noting. Episode 2, we get flashbacks to Makoto preferring girl stuff and all that, right? And Mom never approved of that shit at all.
No.
They're at this point, they're a trio. They have lunch together. Aoi visits him at home. They have a summer vacation, and they go on a shopping spree. And it's a very charming little montage of their shopping spree. Lots of fun miscellaneous details. One thing I will note is that at this point, Aoi and Ryuji, they have fun character moments, right? And like in the montage, little details and whatnot. But at this point, and largely through the episodes I've seen, though it gets a little better, their character traits are 100% centered around Makoto. They don't have a lot of anything else besides Makoto. And they still are charming in their interactions and chemistry altogether, right? But I do want just like a little bit more of that independent character depth. And I think that would not only help the characters, it would also help the relationships and dynamics there. It gets a little bit better as we go on, but it's still kind of an issue throughout. Episode 3, oh no, mom has found the whale handkerchief and is like, this is girly, what the fuck? What the hell? Like the mom is... Look, some people really feel like it's the end of the world when someone they know puts on a dress, all right? Some people think that's really important.
Yeah. Which is very interesting, because the first time I saw you in a dress, Rem, I was like, huh, you know what?
Have a little Ryuji moment, and you're like, oh, fuck.
Oh, God, oh, no. Oh, I thought he was just a man with long hair. Now he's in a dress. What do I do?
But yeah, I mean, some people just really care about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of weird to care. I understand if you care about, like, what you wear, right? That's okay, it's fine.
Oh, yeah, like, you
care
should,
about what you wear.
shouldn't be forced to wear the dress.
Yeah, like, whatever you do. We're not gonna force fem you. But it is weird to really, really, really care about somebody else wearing a dress.
Yeah.
There's likely like hyper-specific scenarios where it would be reasonable to care about that, but really, the vast majority of times, kind of who gives a shit?
Yeah, I don't know, Rem. It's a dangerous precedent. You start wearing a dress, and then next thing you know, you'll be reading stories to children.
Oh no! God forbid! I can somewhere J.K. Rowling her blood is boiling right now.
Oh, good. I hope it fucking...
just because trans people exist.
Yeah. Hopefully it fries her from the inside out.
So the mom loses her shit, and Makoto is like, hey, that's Aoi's, it's not mine, it's fine. And you don't need to worry. I'm a boy, and I know I'm a boy, and I only do boy stuff. So then, Makoto goes to school, and he's dressing as a boy. And Ryuji is like, oh, surprising, but you do you. And Aoi is like, motherfucker, you're lying to me, and I will not be lied to. Come back when you're telling the fucking truth, bitch. And Ryuji's like, is that a necessary response? And she's like, yeah, kinda. And he's like, I don't know what it's like. He gets to make his own choices. And she's like, yeah, but it's not actually his own choices.
Mm-hmm.
Well, both sides of which are quite reasonable, right? Because here's the thing, right? Detransitioning or experimenting, deciding, hey, it's not me. Or just like changing generally. All those things are fine. Now, granted, detransitioning has become like a weird politicized topic just because there's lots of right-wing grifters who have a bunch of bullshit statistics about it and will create false narratives based on that. But it in and of itself, it's okay to transition or to experiment with your gender identity and then be like, hey, I think that actually being a little bit more cis or being a little bit more hetero or being literally anything else, that works better for me. That's okay. Whatever. Like experimenting, by definition, it doesn't need to lead to permanent changes. It's just to try something out. If you try new food, right, you're not going to be forced to eat that for the rest of your life. You try it out, and maybe for a period you like it, and then eventually you're like, actually I've decided it's not for me. All that's okay.
Yeah.
At the same time, you want to make sure that you're being who you want to be and living how you want to live as much as possible. Sometimes, like, external circumstances can make that difficult, such as if you're living at home with some very critical parents who are responsible for your direct livelihood, then it becomes a little bit more complicated. There's rarely easy answers, and that sucks. But barring the circumstances like that, yeah, just be the person you want to be. And if you're unsure, figure out who you want to be, right? Play around a little bit with your identity, in whether it be gender or anything else, until you're like, hey, yeah, this is what feels good. This is what feels good and right for me. Asterisk also, make sure you're not like fucking over other people, but that feels relatively obvious.
I mean, yeah, like, that kind of goes without saying. Like,
But if it's just you experimenting with your identity for you, right? Yeah, of course. And wherever that leads, it's fine.
it's very much one of those things where it's like, oh man, it's a spectrum. It's not super linear. It's fluid. It changes. Like, it's not as hard to understand as some people want you to think.
Yeah, and it's also like, once again, it's fine. You can be a guy who's into girly things. You can be you can be a trans woman into girly things. You can be a trans woman who's kind of butch and into very manly things. That's fine too. Like, that's all the entire spectrum. All of these things, life is complicated, and you just need to figure out what works for you.
Yeah. So, you hear that, guys? Try on the dress. See what it's like.
I mean, yeah, like, if you've ever had an interest, why not, dude?
Yeah.
Fuck it. Give it a go. And so Ryuji and Aoi are having this argument about Makoto, and a big party, really like a school dance type thing, is coming up, and Makoto, during the shopping montage, Makoto he got a dress, he got high heels, he got all these things for the dance, but because he's now like in boy mode, he's given a suit by his mom. It's like, okay, I'll wear that. Also, while he's been boy moding it, he's gotten more popular and social. And as we'll learn, some of this is because like people find him a little less weird and are willing to approach. But we'll also later learn some people just found him a little less approachable as a girl for one reason or another. Maybe just because he's too pretty of a girl, and that can be intimidating.
Women are intimidating? Man, that's wow. I never thought about it.
Very interestingly, and I think this is a good decision, when he'll go back to dressing like a girl, right, and being more feminine, and a lot less changes back than what you'd think. Like, he makes friends when he's boy moding it, and they just stay his friends. Like, he just stays more popular than he was, because now people really do just care about who Makoto is at their core. And it is true that being perceived as weird, abnormal, or atypical, often that can create a perceived like barrier to entry for interpersonal interactions. And that's unfortunate, but that is largely the way things go often. But if that barrier is crossed, more people than you would expect after that barrier to entry, really, they won't give as much of a shit as it seemed like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, once they pass the threshold, and then they're just like, oh, cool, yeah, this is fine. And it would be nice if they weren't weirded out in the first place, don't get me wrong. But with the knowledge that some people will be weirded out, often in unjustified ways, if you can get them past that barrier to entry and just form a bond, a lot of people will be able to move on from that way more than you would expect. So the dance happens. Makoto ends up realizing, hey, I actually do like feminine things. I like dressing like a girl. I like cute stuff. I'm into that kind of thing. And so he he puts on a wig. Specifically, he's like, hey, my lovely date, can I have your wig? And so he puts on a wig, feels better, goes. Aoi, meanwhile, has chased a garbage truck filled with all the stuff Makoto threw away, is able to get the shoes from it, and later Makoto is able to get more of it. And on the beach where they reunite, they do a little dance together. They switch clothes so that Makoto is wearing a dress and Aoi is wearing a suit. And, they just have a good old time. We also have Ryuji and Aoi in this episode establishing more of a bond with each other, which I really like. Episode 4, Ryuji finally, realizes and openly acknowledges to himself, oh shit, I do have feelings for Makoto. Shit.
Yeah, it's a pretty heavy thing to figure out, especially at that age.
Yeah. They all hang out at the aquarium, right? They have some fun interactions, and they have to study for midterms and teach Aoi everything. There's some fun stuff. Then they have a little sleepover together, and this episode ends with it starts with Ryuji realizing he's crushing, and it ends with Aoi kind of doubting whether she's actually in love with Makoto. She's like, I know I have feelings, right? 100%. But I hear other people talking about how real and special their love is. And that doesn't seem to be what I'm feeling. I don't seem to be feeling like, oh shit, this is my soulmate. And so has a bit of a like crisis with that. Like, how much do I how much do I actually love Makoto? And so episode 5, we get a lot of Ryuji and Aoi chatting about that. Ryuji openly admits to her, he's like, yeah, I love Makoto, and she's like, haha, I knew it. And Aoi believes that Ryuji's feelings are like more authentic than hers. She's like, yeah, that's look, the difference between whales and dolphins, one is bigger than the other, and it seems like your love is bigger than mine. It seems like whatever you got, it's lasted longer, it's been more established, right? Makoto, meanwhile, he's seeing them interact more, and Makoto's like, are Ryuji and Aoi together? So now really everybody just thinks everybody's with everybody else. The polygon has been formed.
Yes, yes. Oh, so that's what it meant by polygon.
Yes. And so Makoto asks Ryuji if he likes anyone, misunderstands, and is like, oh, you like Aoi? And he runs away. Later, they have lunch together and more conversations between Ryuji and Aoi discussing everything. Aoi is like, I like everyone, kinda. And so how do I know when I like someone in a special way? How do I know if it's really, truly meaningful? Which isn't always, like, especially if you're thinking of it in, like, Disney or romance novel terms, right? Well, a lot of people ain't gonna experience something like in The Notebook.
God, I hope not. Fuck.
And that doesn't mean that you are deficient or they are deficient or your relationship is deficient. People just feel things in different ways. I'm a firm believer that soulmates are bullshit. There's no cosmic one. We're all just people on this earth, right? And so if you can form a happy, meaningful, deep relationship with somebody, and you're like, I care about them deeply, and they make my life substantially better, and that is reciprocated. Awesome, cool. Don't take it for granted, and don't think that there's somebody destined for you. We all are 50% of every relationship we're a part of and engage with, right? It's up to us to form those bonds. It's up to us to maintain those bonds. It's up to us to engage in those bonds.
So you're telling me there's not a perfect person just waiting for my nerdy ass, Rem?
There might be a person you perceive as perfect for you. That can be real, right? That can be fine. But I don't think that the universe has set out one person who that's your person. I don't think that's how that works.
Look, I understand like percentages and gacha games, and like 1 in like 7 billion does seem a bit rough. that like the odds
but
are not
maybe
really
the next roll.
How much premium currency do I need to buy to get the soulmate?
Oh man. See, oh my god, Shaun, hear me out, all right?
Okay.
We create a dating app. But we gacha game this shit. So, here's what happens, right? You get set up on a blind date.
Oh my god.
You get like a few little descriptors, but you in the gacha game, you spend like $1, right? All right, here you go. This is the description of the person you are going on a date with. If you want, you can spend $1 to reroll.
My god.
Unironic, I think there's a nugget of something good here. There's also like a lot that's wrong with it, but there's a nugget of something good.
Look, man,
because I think one of the reasons why dating apps are so destructive and harmful to a lot of interpersonal relationships is because people never know when to be satisfied, right? Or give things a chance, because they're just like, I could theoretically find something better, so who the fuck gives a shit? And you also end up just not looking at people as people, which ours wouldn't really fix. But ours would at least fix the first part of that equation.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say, as somebody who's been on a dating app for a little over a year now, it's almost like people are weirdly toxic for no reason.
Now hear me out, all right? What happens? You say, hey, here's my general location. Here is a day free. Then you spend $1. Boom. Here's a match who also has that day free. It can even be like, hey, this is the activity you're doing together. You're gonna meet here and do this thing. And so you meet up, do that, and then even if it's like kind of a lame activity, you're like, well, that's what the app chose. And then you both can like bond over how this activity totally doesn't fit. You can be like, oh, you know what would have been better? And they can be like, what? And you give a suggestion. They're like, oh my god, that would be better. And you're like, maybe for a second date. Bada bing, bada boom.
So what you're saying is just a scheduling app, but a little bit hornier.
A horny scheduling app with blind randomization and mildly predatory monetization.
You're really hoping to make that extra buck, aren't you?
Look, this is a bad idea, but it's like not a universally bad idea. There's something there at the core of this bad idea is something worthwhile. I don't think it's salvageable, but there's a nugget in there. There's a nugget of gold.
I mean, and the sad thing is, Rob, I don't think that's much worse than what dating apps currently do.
See, once again, does it fix all the problems? No. Does it create more problems? Yes. Does it fix some problems? Yes.
Yeah, fixes one, creates 3 more. That's the Remington Chase way.
Oh, and it's brainstorming, all right? It's just brainstorm, just spitballing.
Happy Pride, y'all. Happy Pride.
So the episode ends with Aoi and Makoto chatting, and she's like, hey, I'm gonna stop trying to be with you romantically. And Makoto's like, I hope that doesn't mean we like drift apart or anything. And they just have a bittersweet chat about all that. And that's how the episode ends, and that's as far as I've seen.
You don't seem upset, Rem.
No, it was wildly charming. Once again, what I've liked, just a little bit more depth on the characters, sure. But what we do get is very charming. There's enough that all like the silly gags, they work for me. There's a good attention to detail. It's a nice looking show. There's a lot of very human interactions, a lot of good nuance. That being said, it's the kind of show, Shaun.
Uh-huh.
And this has happened before, but there's just a tiny little concern I have for the direction I think it'll go. Because there's a direction I really want it to go, and think that it would be like, it would really hit home all of the themes it's exploring. And then there's a direction I think it'll go, which isn't a bad direction, but I don't think capitalizes on its themes as powerfully or as meaningfully.
Okay.
What I think should happen, Makoto has been like, hey, I've never like had a crush on anybody, right? I think it'd be great if we got some extremely rare asexual representation with Makoto. And they're like, wow, I have 2 amazing friends. It ends up basically like turning each of them down in turn, like meaningfully. And it's like, I do really care about you guys, and it's so great that you genuinely care about me. And for the first time, I feel like people can care about me. Learning an asexual, gender fluid person who learns self-love while also learning that people do really care for them as them. I think like that captures Makoto's journey especially well. And along the way, Ryuji learns that like, hey, you like who you like regardless of gender. Things are more complicated than it seems. Aoi learns that special people aren't just the ones you like romantically, right? Your special person sort of like can be a found family as well, and you can have multiple special people. That's like my ideal. There's, I would say, 0.05% chance of that being the direction they take it. The direction I think they're gonna take it, it's anime, so it's just, hey, you know the main love connection you saw established first? That's the one. Some doubt will be sown kind of throughout, but at the end of the day, the one you saw first and primarily, that's the one. I think it ends with and maybe this season doesn't end with like them getting together or anything, but like overall long term, Makoto and Aoi definitely end up together. And I don't know, does Ryuji just get cucked? I don't know what happens to Ryuji. He deals with rejection and accepts his complicated sexuality, and maybe he finds another guy or a femboy or anybody else, and he gets with them. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I won't give any spoilers, just on the off chance that people want us to revisit this show. I will say, it has the full 12-episode season, and it had a sequel movie that came out earlier this year as well. So whether or not that's the full and complete story, I couldn't tell you. I didn't watch the movie. But pretty standard across the board. The people who watched this show seemed to be a big fan of it and loved everything about it representation-wise for the most part.
Oh, yeah. Like, I think it actually has genuine, meaningful representation. It represents it in a way that is unashamed while also still being complex and nuanced. Like, that is good shit.
Yeah. Want to know what one of the more surprising things about this is?
Do share.
It's a web manga adaptation.
That doesn't surprise me at all, for the simple reason of it goes web manga visuals and certain scenes a lot.
Yeah.
And it's able to actually adapt them well, which most most do not do as successfully. But this one did much better.
Yeah, no, it is let's see. Just double checking. Yeah, by the looks of things, I believe that the manga is finished as well. So there is a complete story here. So whether they cover all of it in 12 episodes in a movie, could not tell you. But I mean, honestly, I think this is a pretty solid start to all things. Because genuinely, Rem, like the second Pride Month ended last year, and this anime started, inundated with emails about this show specifically.
Hey, it celebrates Egg Fest, Yam Fest, everything in between. We do. Hey, look, we have Egg Fest, we have Yam Fest. We do need something for our gay fellas. So hey.
Okay.
Gay fellas, let us know. All right, give some suggestions. We're bringing eggs and yams to the festivities, but and asexual people as well. All right, and then I'll be fairly satisfied. Just what do we need to what kind of fests are we having on your behalf? Give suggestions, and as voice of the people, I'll see which are the most fitting.
And apparently they all need to be food themed.
Not necessarily, but it would.
I mean,
be nice
based on the two we got so far, my man. We've got Egg Fest, which is like a pre-established term that we found out after the fact. And then Yams, which, you know, was kind of a beautiful mind situation. Lesbians love yams. That's just the world we live in.
Yeah, it is just the reality.
Yeah, so if there's something that that is equally true for gay men and our ace audience, then please tell us what you think it is appropriate, and you know, it's not. We'll see what works, what fits. Because my goodness, you know, you can never have too many festivals, because after all, Pride is really should be a year-round thing. And more it does seem to be the case. But you know, there's also a lot of very vocal idiots out there. Yeah. But okay then, Rem. If you had to guess, what do you think the Mal score for Senpai wa Otokonoko is?
It should be quite high. It's just real solid. It's just real solid. Let's see. I'm gonna assume that it hasn't been like brigaded at all, and I'm gonna say 8.06.
Is that your final answer?
It is.
Okay. Well, Rem, so when I said we were inundated with emails, that was true. But by and large, Senpai wa Otokonoko is not as popular as it could be, I feel. Only 25,000 people have reviewed it, which is pretty low considering it's been over a year. Well, nearly a full year at this point. But with those 25,000 ratings, it's sitting nice and pretty at only a 7.30.
You transphobic, homophobic pieces of shit.
Oh my god. Genuinely, I think we're dealing with like a small number situation here, because only like, you know how there are weebs out there that'll rate anything they remotely like a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Only 7% of the votes are 10 out of 10s, right? The vast majority, like 30, like if you take the 7 and 8s together, it's about 60%. No, that's too high. I'm bad at math. 55% of the votes are straight up 7s and 8s, with like a good chunk in the 6s, and then a very minuscule minority. Like 428 people gave this a 1 out of 10, which those seem like the homophobic and transphobic folks.
That's a crazy rating for this.
Yeah, like by and large,
that's wild.
When I look at the written reviews of it, like one of the biggest complaints people say is they wish that it had more space to develop more character, and that's why they don't recommend it. Which I feel like with that, there's still room for you to watch the show and enjoy it.
Yeah.
But by and large, people who write out reviews tend to heavily recommend it.
Once again, don't get me wrong. Are there genuine flaws? Sure there are. But still, overall, it's good shit, y'all.
Yeah. And I mean, 7.3 is a good score in normal terms.
Yeah, but for weebs, it's like
incredibly
barely,
low. Yeah,
just mediocre as fuck is what the weebs say.
Which I disagree with personally.
Two.
Oh, isn't that cute? It's been a while since we've had a few of those on microphone.
Oh man.
All right. But yeah, hey, Rem, fantastic start to Pride Month. I'm glad that we got one good one right from the start. So thank you all for sending in that great recommendation. And to everybody who sent in the awful recommendations, you'll have your time. Don't worry. But with that in mind, I guess final question I need to ask you, Rem, is there any chance you'd like to watch a little bit more of Senpai wa Otoko? Yeah, damn it, flubbed it that time. Senpai wa Otokonoko?
Yeah. It's a lovely show, Sean.
Fantastic. And with that in mind, thank you all so much for tuning in. If you enjoy Remington proudly flexing his allyship, maybe to an uncomfortable degree, then please head on over to wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review. They mean the world to us, and we do read every single one. And if that is not enough for you, twitch.tv/anime out of context, where myself, Dylan, and Remington occasionally play video games very poorly. I recently started playing Final Fantasy II, and let me just say, it is surprisingly different for being a game that came out a year later in the 80s. And if that is still not enough for you, patreon.com/anime out of context, where you gain access to all kinds of lovely bonus material, including the opportunity to be thanked live on the podcast. So, Rem, who we thanking this week?
Well, as always, we would like to send our regards to all of our Blame Bitch protagonists, as well as our magical girls, who we really appreciate. But moving on, we get to our yandere waifus, who are keeping us in suspense by not communicating their actual feelings. And on that list we have Yandere Neko, Wolfire 56, Why Does Everything Want Banana Sean? Where's our DBC review, you ginger fuck? West Kane fighting off the army with ballet mechas. Week 13 of using my Patreon name to request code Geese. Watching Requiem for Spoonman at 0.5 speed, totally good. Titan CNH, there's a light inside your soul slowly shrinking from the cold with the truth, the promise in your heart anime. The Susanator, the sperm cell reaching for Sean's unbreakable egg. Oh, God. The Opie Wrangler, formerly known as Mommy Milkers. The Danish Viking will conquer the world with Rona Zoro as my navigator. The Capybara wants Rem to know today is Wednesday. For recording, it is.
Yeah. They may have figured out our recent recording schedule.
It is Wednesday, my dudes. And then if you could do the screech, that'd be great. Thanks.
You just don't want to do it yourself, you coward.
It's such a loud.
Uh-huh.
No,
you don't want to scare your girlfriend?
That time I reincarnated as a podcast host and forced to weeb. Has no place in Fairy Tales, 100 Girlfriends, Turban, Swaraj Verdi, Super Zoo, Stacy's mom. Sean wants to give Spoonman a thank and yank. Sean's first egg fest, #transgender Sean. Sean's hair parent. Sean soaked.
I don't know how I feel about this narrative folks are putting together.
I don't know. Play with it and see how you feel. Sean soaked the Pope to death while Rem watched. Sean, shoot your shot with girl 60% of the time. It works every time. Sean ruined my happy sugar life when he had plants reveal his disturbing inner thoughts about a specific topic on June 18th. Sean, quit soaking with my grandma, please! Sean, I've been a bad boy and need to be punished with etchy trash, ooh-woo. Seraphim the Shark plushie, Ryan Moody, Ross Palmer, Rhiannon Williams. Remington rimming and ramming a ton, Sean not so. Remington is right. Rem, mind me, when do we record again? Rem uses the drums of liberation to free all weeps from bad anime. Rem doesn't completely hate my favorite shows. Red Venom. Project Sakai Addict encourages Alien Stage for Pride Month. Week 5, it's very wholesome and full of cute aliens. Heart. Professor Fox, pro tips out of context, has run out of things supposed to come back soon. Princess Silas is the sleepiest princess. Paco Musico. Oh, Shawnee can't goonie to the new Popey, oh no. Never letting Rem forget about his vampire past. Mitsuko was going to get a part in season 2 of Windbreaker, but she didn't eat enough beans before the audition. Mikeka 7 Hirto, Maya Hem, Haikyuu enthusiast. Macaroni Cheese Ha, Lucky Stars the King of Moe. Link Joe Girl, Linderd 98, King Rich Rock, Katie, Cassidy, Jax, Jam Hands. It's Pride, don't watch Hate Crime Show again. If you think about it, Rem's the bottom of this duo. I'm making Rem say ethnic slurs until you bring back the Chef and Musco Sean, you white cunt. I will never get more Ace of the Diamond, now I cry. I took a wrong turn, do you know the way? Rem, can confirm that Sean voted Trump, #Red Pill Rollins,
categorically untrue. Categorically untrue.
No, Sean didn't vote at all because he didn't believe any candidates really represented his views. He's waiting for a possible Tate candidacy.
I am going to kill myself.
I'm so sorry. It's such a bad bit, but it's such a funny bit.
Oh, it makes me so sad.
It's my guilty pleasure bit.
One of many.
Sure.
One of many.
No, the others I'm not guilty about. This one I'm a little guilty about, but it is too funny. I implore you to use this week's cast of Pride shows as an opportunity to show Rem Monogatari as it canonically has lesbian repression. I can't believe I made an account for this. Gordon Ramsay's raw sausage. God, Glenn Michael Dolan, George Edward Bottom, aka Bear Trap, and now a treat for Rem. If you look at the Discord, you will see Cholino, an old dog. P.S. He is I don't know what he is, but I will look up Cholino. Let me look up Cholino on the Discord.
He's very cute. I've already looked at him.
Oh, what a boy! Whoa,
like, they
boy.
specifically visited the Twitch and were like, hey, if I change my name to mention the cute animals I post, do you think Rem will check them? And I said, yeah, no, there's no shot that he would.
It's like 99% chance that I will.
Yeah, like, and not only that, you got to see all the other cute little animals, especially the corgis. Which apparently today is National Corgi Day.
Oh, what a day. What a day.
It's a good day.
Fern the Fern. Farmer Weeb is selling Sean's Left Nut for the upcoming MTG Final Fantasy release. Email me at seansleftnut@yahoo.com. Or alternatively, you can send an email over onto
No, stop it.
All it takes is Dylan missing a single one of those. All it takes.
And ruin my business email?
One day, Dylan's just going to be a little less observant. He's going to be a little off his game. And in that day, you are fucked, Sean. Fantide, Erica McCorkle.
Why don't I just give them your home address at this rate?
Does Rem prefer baby oil or margarine for belly rubs? I can understand baby oil. Why would you use margarine for belly rubs?
I don't know, to save on butter.
Oh, I can't believe it's not baby oil. Danielle Riot, Daddy Rem, tell me a bedtime story about Sean's nut. Caldarius, Cheese Monkey, Brockhard for Geodude. Sean, you said it wasn't a one-night stand. Please call me.
What?
Oh, that's a good one. That's very good. Oh, fuck. Boring Siren, Blarf, Bento Kato, Amazing Muffin, Aisha Gudgy, a Moe piece of trash. And now we move on to the Boy Wizard tier. What are they going to get this week, Sean?
So, Rem, you might imagine I had a hard time coming up with something for this one.
Sure.
So, I'm going to give everybody a weird color, and and their homework is to try and find a sundress in that color.
Oh, I see. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good.
Uh-huh.
On this list we have your friendly neighborhood commie.
All right. You get Australian, which is like Australian but spelled different.
Okay, sure. Umbrasite.
Banan.
I wonder what color that is. Truckoon operator number 42.
This one reminds me of you, Rem. Bastard Amber.
Tokyo and Anna's regulation listener that listens to 100% Eat because it's morning somewhere, Blue Sage.
Drake's Neck.
That Mouse Girl.
Drunk Tank King.
Starting that fate grind.
Flame of Burnt Brandy.
Spoonman the Aristocrat.
Ginger Line.
Silent Secondary.
This one also reminds me of you, Rem. Lusty Gallant.
Oh my god. Sammy K sincerely hopes Sean likes his hot dog Chicago style. # Pope Soak 2025.
Natier.
Roscott.
Pervench.
Rem would enjoy Vasher's Trigun as much as Sean enjoys the Pope. Is that how these are done? ? Still drunk. Yay!
Song de Boeuf.
Power Cell begs Sean to stop soaking in his low pony. He still has a couple gym badges he needs to earn.
Sinopper.
Monogatari has everything you ever said you want in an anime. This week, the MC has one bad character trait, but he knows.
Verditor.
Mike.
Watch It.
Miguel DeLeon.
Zaffrey.
Lieutenant Beagle wants One Piece live action on episode 400.
Oh, well, I'm sorry about this. Puke.
I'd like to start a petition to replace the word brat with kudere.
Incarnadine.
Hidden Otaku.
Philomot.
Help, Titaro has started playing Warhammer and can't stop.
The problem with choosing weird names is that I don't know how to pronounce it, and a lot of them are in French. Coqueliot.
Nailed it. Carver 271.
Odenil.
Beethoven 1201.
Rufos.
Allfather wishes the community a happy Pride Month. This week's anime will be the first for Pride, so it better be good, Sean. And it was.
Glaucus.
And now we move on to the inappropriate Joey Wheeler tier, where Sean is going to, as Joey Wheeler, give you something to experiment with in your life. Could be related to gender, could be related to literally anything else. And I, as Joey Wheeler, don't really know how to pair that, I'm being honest. Like, it's a solid one, but how do I will be Joey Wheeler, but a bisexual horny gremlin, giving you helpful advice for how to experiment with that thing. I don't know, dude. I don't know how to think it through. I didn't think it through, so I punished myself. We start with shout out to frustrated lesbians, one of my favorite genders. Hashtag Pride Month.
Yeah, the thing you're gonna experiment with is, well, quite frankly, you're gonna experiment with a variety of sweet potato recipes.
All right, and with this, one way to do that is. Look at it, Mike. Give us a bisexual gremlin. But you can experiment with those recipes not just in the dining room, but in the bedroom too.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I put myself in a corner. I don't. All right. Shaun, want to come over and watch porn on my flat screen mirror? It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Oh, I get it. Took a second. Okay. The thing you're gonna experiment with is, you are gonna finally go to that weird little restaurant that you've been eyeballing for ages, and then after that, you're gonna find a second weirder restaurant to visit.
And a great way to experiment with that is to bring those folks you've been crushing on. All right, possibly you bring one to one, the other to the other, or possibly you bring them both to both. And who knows? Maybe a little polyamory, maybe just a menage a trois. Who knows? Wherever it goes, it goes. Next, last but not least, we have follow anime have context on Blue Sky. Harukaido, Renkaido, Akikaido, Shima Kaido, Ikiyoshi, Sasuke, Kirikando, Shiro, Takamura, Natsuo, Shiba. And of course on the Blue Sky, they're telling Shaun that he needs to play a Pride-themed game because he was late for one of his streams.
And I ended up playing Hades, which I feel like fits the bill.
I mean, that's pretty fair. That's pretty fair.
Yeah, the wheel chose Hades, and I was like, oh, the bisexual disaster Greek god game. Let's do it.
Yeah. What should they experiment with in their life?
They should experiment with, they should pick up a game genre they've never really delved into before. Something that is like, oh man, you should play this, but you never had. Pick up like a couple cheap indie games, see how they go.
Including Hades.
I mean,
it just, that works as a bisexual gremlin, all right?
Yeah, I mean, look, man. Look at any character design in Hades and tell me that they're not hot. I won't believe you.
There were people talking like when Hades 2 early access when that came out, there were a bunch of you know the type of gamers who were like, wow, Aphrodite looking like a man. First of all, it'd be okay if she did, but second of all, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, this character looks like a man. Shows the most beautiful woman you've ever seen.
Because it was like they were trying to be like, see, people are just prudes, and that's why me arguing that the only good games are ones where white or Asian women are objectified constantly are good. Why they argue that's a bad take just because they're prudes, and then people were like, nah, Hades is sexy as hell, but also a good game that isn't incel bait, and they were like, well,
Yeah, I just pulled up Aphrodite's Hades 2 sprite just to confirm. What are they talking about? If anything, she got hotter.
Look, genuinely, it's fine if you are a gooner, all right? Don't objectify people, and also don't be this weird gooner essentialist gaming tourist who doesn't even play these games, just believes that they're utility for some culture war that you're really fighting with yourself. Just shut the fuck up. Just, if you want to goon, then goon. And stop pretending that your masturbation is political. Just do it, keep it to yourself, and don't objectify people. Jesus. Keep it to yourself or consenting parties. Thank you all for tuning in. If you want to reach out for a
Happy Pride.
Or recommendation, you can send an email over on the animeoutofcontext@gmail.com.
Once again, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. We love and appreciate you very, very much. And as always, don't fuck your sister.
Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do.
Try on the dress. See what it's like.
Yeah, we're gonna force fem ya.
The first time I saw you in a dress room, I was like, hachi machi. It's a bit of a mouthful.